call to order the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for May 11th, 2023. All commissioners are present with the exception of President Lynch and Vice President Napper, who are excused. Commissioner Failona and Commissioners Failona and Williams will be attending virtually. At this time, I ask that Commissioner Rothrock lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss matters of personnel, litigation, and real estate. At this time, we'd ask that if there are any citizens that would like to address the board, you may do so at this time. We ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes, please, and state your name and address for the record. Would anyone like to address the board this evening? Sir, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Thank you.
You hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, not familiar with being on the mic. My name is Jesse Tomkowitz. My address is 2464 Magnolia Terrace, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17110. The facts pertinent to the matter that I'm going to be bringing up occurred while I was staying at a friend's apartment at the Reserve at Paxton Creek on Reserve Way. On the morning of April 27th, 2023, I walked to my car, parked in the parking lot at the Reserve at Paxton Creek. I'd stayed over at a friend's house the night before. Upon arrival to my car, I noticed on the driver's side window a bright blue slip. On this form that I'm going to hand out afterwards, there's a photo of the slip. On the slip, which is signed by an Officer Lauver, it states that my car was locked, but my wallet was left in the center console of the vehicle. The timestamp indicates that Officer Lauver had peered through the windows of my vehicle at 11:46 p.m. that night, the night of the 26th. Given the darkness of that night and the darkness of the interior of my vehicle, I'm only speculating that a flashlight was probably used, but I don't know for certain. I noticed that other vehicles also had a slip on them, thus indicating that Officer Lauver searched numerous vehicles that night. There are about 100 vehicles in that parking lot, and Officer Lauver could have searched every single one of them. This was done under the program known as Operation Vigilant Protector. My argument to the commissioners today is in 4 pieces. The first part is a privacy invasion. This is a blatant privacy invasion. I don't think anyone, including the commissioners, the police officers themselves, would appreciate anyone snooping through the windows of their car at night, even with good intentions. Snooping through someone's car is a blatant privacy invasion, and this invasion becomes extraordinary when you add the context of this program. The search of my vehicle occurred on a Wednesday, just before midnight, under the cloud of darkness. And further, it was a mass search, not only of my vehicle, but the vehicles of my neighbors. And that context makes this privacy invasion extraordinary. Which leads to my second point. The policy outcome is marginal at best and counterproductive at worst. If I'm going to sacrifice my privacy on the altar of security, I expect the return to be excellent. An extraordinary sacrifice of my privacy requires an extraordinarily positive policy outcome. This program falls remarkably short of that requirement for several reasons, but because of time constraints, I'll only mention that the program is just logically flawed to a fatal degree. When the police put a bright blue slip on a car window, they're telling the world essentially, hey, easy target right here, potentially unlocked door, potentially valuables inside. This is a type of vehicle that you would like to target. And putting those blue slips on, if anyone that was looking to do ill intent, a criminal showed up between midnight, and effectively when I showed up at the vehicle the next morning or afternoon, whenever I got to the vehicle, if they saw that blue slip, effectively they're told, hey, this is a very good target. Come after this car. So these are acting effectively as billboards, saying, please rob this, which is counterproductive. The point of the program is to limit vehicle break-ins. Which leads to my third point. The police could achieve far better results without having to invade the privacy of residents of Susquehanna Township. Here's just a few suggestions. First, maybe they increase patrols through apartment complex parking lots at night. Maybe they engage with the community door to door, hand out flyers giving information how to keep your vehicles safe and secure. Maybe a Facebook video. Maybe you go to the news channel. Or, I think the best idea, go to the managers of apartment complexes and hand them a stack of brochures, essentially, and tell them, hey, distribute this to all residents, and tell all residents equally, keep your doors locked, keep valuables away, etc. Which leads to my fourth point. This is a poor policy, and poor policies erode trust and question the integrity and motives of the police. Now, on several occasions, I've observed the Susquehanna Police Department since I've lived here over the years, and they've been extraordinarily professional, decent, respectful, courteous in every interaction I've had with them. I don't personally distrust their integrity, even with this program, even if I think it's an invasion of privacy. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But not all citizens necessarily will. And in this time where people are often to criticize public officials, especially police departments, it's in the best interest to make sure we don't risk running a public image crisis here. So, I worry about a few negative views that citizens might have. The first being, a citizen could conclude, what if this is just a fishing expedition? You go around looking into cars, looking for probable cause to acquire a warrant, effectively looking for drugs or guns, contraband, to call in a warrant. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a reasonable citizen with a bad policy might see it that way. Further, searching vehicles at night only in apartment complexes, but not in residential homes. I doubt this is happening at homes in cars parked in residential lots. Because of that, someone might say maybe this is targeting certain communities within apartments, but is excluding communities that live in residential homes. And finally, a citizen could potentially see this as, well, how do I know that my Fourth Amendment rights aren't being violated? How do I know you're not trying to jar my door open to make sure it's locked? Which would be some sort of breach of privacy. So, I want to restate that I don't believe any of those instances are occurring, and I have no evidence to believe so. But this is the perception that a poor policy can give, and we do not want Susquehanna Township Police to have this image. So, therefore, I'm asking for Operation Vigilant Inspector to be shut down as a program. The program has good intentions, but invades too much privacy to continue. Even if you believe that there isn't a privacy concern, I believe the counterproductive nature of the policy, that alone justifies the termination of the program. We should not be attaching billboards to people's cars and saying this is a good car to break into. It's just a backwards policy. Instead, I think the Susquehanna Township Police should give flyers to the managers of apartment complexes and state how to prevent car break-ins and allow landlords to give them to residents. This will accomplish the exact, if not a better outcome policy-wise, while also not invading the privacy of residents. So with that being said, I thank you for your consideration and your service to Susquehanna Township and the time you've given me today. I'm going to hand out some sheets with a more detailed and reasoned response, if that's okay.
That'd be fine.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you for taking your time to share your perspective with us.
Of course. You guys see that? Yeah. Because I think we know once.
You're a public citizen.
Don't know. I made a lot of copies. I know it might only be pertinent to particular committee members, but or assignments, but I've made like 15 copies. Make sure these are right. Sure. There we go. There's like 15 of them, so if there's extras, of course. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Right. Are there any other citizens who wish to address the board this evening? Okay. Thank you. If there are no others, then at this time, entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the April 20th, 2023 Board of Commissioners regular meeting.
Also move approval of the minutes of April 20th meeting. Second.
Is there any discussion or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no recognitions and presentations this evening. On to report of committees. Building and Grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you. I'd like to defer to Dave Pavolka, our Township Manager, to update on the various items still in progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a couple of items to report on. Everything with the building renovation project right now is kind of status quo as it was in my last report. We're still waiting on a few of the items to come in for delivery. There has been some movement on the monument sign installation, but they're, again, just kind of waiting to mobilize and schedule their staff so they can come out and complete that installation. Hope to have some more news on that front the next meeting. As far as other matters of general interest, we had radon testing done in the municipal building about 2 weeks ago. We had the report back from that, and there are some areas of concern. So we are going to be entertaining estimates for mitigation, and we'll intend to have an item on a forthcoming agenda for any active mitigation that may be warranted. And then lastly, we are also in the process of upgrading some internet service to the township building. So more to come on that, but we're evaluating alternatives to give us a little bit more bandwidth because our software needs are growing, as I'm sure you all are well aware, and our cloud reliance is also growing for security purposes. So we have a need for a bigger pipe and working on securing some options for that right now. Other than that, that's all I have to report. I can answer any questions.
No, I have nothing further.
Okay, well, thank you for those reports.
Thank you.
All right, Budget, Finance, Commissioner Pine.
Madam President, no real extensive reports, just the fact that we had recommended a investment policy statement for employees' 457 deferred compensation plans, which will be considered as Resolution 2023 R11 this evening. That is all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Public Works, Commissioner Hisro, do you have anything?
No report,
Okay,
thank you.
sure. How about Health and Sanitation? Anything there?
The only thing I'm going to say is that we did have a meeting this past week, and I believe Township Manager Pavolka is going to address the meeting as part of his manager's reports. I'll defer to that.
Okay, thank you. All right, Administration and Personnel, Commissioner Engel, anything on that front?
No report.
All right, thank you. Police?
No report.
All right. Fire, EMS, EMA, Commissioner Hisro.
Again, the only thing to report on is about the fire services study, a request for proposal, and that's going to be addressed a little later in this meeting, so I'll defer to that portion of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation, Commissioner Failona.
No report.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Well, we've had a busy few weeks in planning and zoning, so let me run over this. There was a planning commission meeting on the 24th of April. There were 3 items on the agenda that had not been tabled. The first one is Blue Mountain Apartments, phases 1 and 2, which is in the 2nd Ward. It's on the corner of Oakhurst Boulevard and Continental Drive. There's a preliminary subdivision land development plan for dividing 4 tracks into 7 lots, 2 of which are going to be developed to contain 290 residential units and the improvements that go with that. This was a plan that was approved in 2014 by or recommended for approval by the Planning Commission in 2014. The content of the plan is the same, but this time it's being submitted as just a preliminary plan. It's located in R4 and also partially in the conservation zone. Both the plan and the waiver were recommended for approval by the Board of Commissioners. The second one was the Covenant Christian Academy, which is in the 3rd Ward. This is a preliminary final land development plan for purpose of consolidating 2 existing lots. developing a soccer field and expanding the parking. A waiver was requested for sidewalks along Carter and State Farm Drive. The project's located in the R2 Medium Density Residential District and partially in the Conservation District. Both the plan and the waiver were recommended for approval by the Board of Commissioners, subject to providing a walkway along the parking lot to avoid pedestrians walking in the exit lane. And the third one was 3401 North Front Street, which is in the First Ward. This was a preliminary and final minor lot consolidation plan for combining two lots to create a new 3.9 acre lot. One lot contains the Meddy, Evans, and Woodside building, and the other one is vacant. Waivers for a preliminary plan procedure, drawing scale, and sidewalks were requested, and there was a waiver for street trees, which was withdrawn. The project's located in the BOR Business Office Residential Zoning District. The waivers for preliminary plans and drawing scale were recommended for Board of Commissioners approval, along with the plan approval, subject to providing sidewalks in accordance with the saldo. And that is going to be considered, I think, from what I saw in some of the documentation, at our next meeting, which was supposed to be the 25th, but I believe that's been changed. Right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Then there was a zoning hearing board meeting on the 3rd of May. There were 3 items on that agenda. One was Maurice Cobb, 3971 Sunnycrest Drive, which is in the 5th ward. They requested a variance to permit an addition on the front of the building, the existing single-family housing dwelling that would encroach into the 50-foot front yard setback. That was approved. Steve Shirk at 4600 North Progress Avenue, which is in the 2nd ward, requested a variance for relief to allow a swimming pool to be located in the front yard of the property. That was approved. And the 3rd item was Foreman Sign Company requesting a variance on behalf of Sola Salon, which is located at 2553 Brindle Drive in the shops at Susquehanna. And they wanted to install a larger than permitted wall sign, and that was approved. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. All right, next we're on to bids and agreements. Action on ordinances, resolutions, subdivision, and land development plans. Item number 1 is Resolution 2023 R10, a resolution of Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the filing of an application for a Dauphin County Transportation Infrastructure Safety Improvement Program, otherwise known as TISIP grant, request of $227,250 to be used for the Cone Road Bridge Superstructure Replacement Project. And I'll pass this off to Township Manager Pravolka for further information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with your agenda this evening is a resolution that would authorize staff to submit a grant application to the Dauphin County Transportation Infrastructure Safety Improvement Program, or TISIP. This is a new program that is largely funded by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA. So there's federal dollars that are involved if we're successful. But the board may recall that approximately a year ago, just about, you approved a application to the Bridge Bundling Program to offset substantial cost, estimated cost, of the Cone Road Bridge superstructure replacement. That total project cost is roughly $1.23 million. The grant, that grant does have a local match. It's 40% or $303,000. So staff is proposing the board authorize an application to the TISIP program for 75% of that local match. That would bring our township commitment to $75,750. And that would, in theory, fund the entire replacement of the superstructure if that's successful.
Mayor, I'd like to ask, I was trying to find it in here. I think when I was reviewing the materials, it didn't look like it was going to be completed until 2025, though it's going to take 2 years to assuming we get the grant and the other funding, it won't be completed until October 2025, I think I saw. Is that correct?
That is correct. That timeline is a little fluid at the moment. I just had a conversation today with Dan Long at HRG when I was taking Alex's spot at the TCRPC dinner. And he informed me that they are still working on securing the funding in the bridge bundling program. So we were supposed to already be in design for that superstructure replacement, and we're not. So I would actually predict that those timelines are going to be extended a little bit. By how long, I can't really say at the moment, but I did, as part of our pre-application conference with the Dauphin County Economic Development Office, inform them of the timescale and ask them if that would still be permissible to apply into this program. They said yes. So
Okay. And now, I guess what I was thinking though, there's restrictions on the bridge now, right?
that's correct.
And the deterioration looked like it was, at least for the last several years, proceeding very quickly. So I just worry, I guess, if it's going to be another couple of years, if we have the same amount of deterioration the next couple of years. I mean, that could be a really bad situation. That just made me nervous seeing that it was going to be at least 2.5 years.
Yeah, I agree, and Dan and HRG are continuing to monitor it, and they'll let us know if there's anything really alarming that requires more immediate kind of Band-Aid action. So far, I don't think any of that is immediately pressing. I think right now, with these opportunities, we're still on the most expeditious path to getting this superstructure replacement project underway. There's a lot of design, a lot of make-ready costs and permitting that need to be done. So we're starting the wheel turning, but I think we're on the quickest way with this.
Madam President, I'd like to move that we approve or adopt the resolution authorizing the submission of this grant application.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments? Discussion? Oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 2 on the agenda for bids and agreements is Resolution 2023 R11, a resolution of Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, adopting an investment policy statement for the 457 Deferred Compensation Plan. Manager Burbolka.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, provided with your agenda is a copy of the resolution which would approve formally the investment policy statement, which is attached to the resolution as an exhibit for the township's employee-funded optional 457B deferred compensation plan. So as you know, the township has 2 kind of retirement options for employees. One is our defined benefit program, which is currently managed by Conrad Siegel, and then this defined contribution plan, which is managed by Engelbert Financial Advisors. They serve as a 338 fiduciary over the plan, meaning that they're actively managing those plans' assets, as opposed to just moving funds based on participant requests. Nevertheless, an investment policy statement, I think, is important to govern the structure of the plan, to ensure that we're providing participants in the plan with the best menu of options to drive their investment strategies for plan for their retirement based on their risk profiles and where they're at in their career. And this investment policy statement does that. It also provides for things like participant education. It leaves the option for the township to change fiduciaries to a 321 investment advisor if that should ever be of interest in the township, which is a more passive way of managing a defined contribution plan. And kind of checks all the boxes. It's been reviewed by the consultant for their feedback. As Commissioner Pine noted, it's been reviewed by the Budget and Finance Committee and recommended for approval this evening, and staff is also recommending the same.
I move we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Commissioner Pine, seconded by Commissioner Engel. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, Resolution 2023 R12, a resolution of Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the submission of a DCED Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant application for the development of Crown Point Park. Okay. Director Knaus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a grant application for the playground improvement for Crown Point Park. We've met our goals as part of the comprehensive plan for the township and the recreation comprehensive plan to replace 3 other playground units that we've done over the past 2 years. This is the next on the list. So this grant max award or request could be $250,000. So we're going to ask for the max amount. We already have a $30,000 grant from the Dauphin County Local Share program. So at this point in time, our current local match would be $78,353. And there will be a $100 application fee for this application as well.
Madam President, I'd like to move for approval of the resolution that would authorize the submission of a DCED Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant application for the development of Crown Point Park.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Hisaro, second by Commissioner Engel. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, stormwater modification, Mountaindale Phases 4 and 5.
Madam President, may I make the suggestion, and the suggestion that I have is that we table this matter this evening. Because the motion to table requires no second, and if the board thinks it's in order, let me just explain why before we take anything like that up, because there's no discussion on a motion to table. Custer Homes has requested a waiver for Mountaindale Phases 4 and 5, and those plans had been approved some time ago. And so they are now subject to the township's current stormwater management plan. And there's some discussion between Custer Homes and the staff about using an infiltration basin along Maple Shade Drive. The recommendation I think that staff has, which I think is the correct recommendation, is that Custer Homes develop some engineering analysis of using the infiltration basin along with some details to be worked out between staff, the township's engineer, and Custer Homes as a basis for considering any waiver to the current stormwater management plan. And so I don't think we're here yet for several reasons, not the least of which is even if we get the right engineering, the township may or may not grant the waiver, but we don't even have that yet. So I think it's the right course of action for Custer to pursue the engineering and submit it to the township, for the township to engage in dialogue. So my recommendation is we table this at this point because we have no waiver to grant and we're not ready yet to deal with that. And if the manager's okay with it, that's where I'd go. The manager has nodded his head.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, no objections here.
Move the table?
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you. Okay, on to reports. Township manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My report is in your packet. Just a couple of things to highlight. We had a successful Arbor Day celebration on April 28th. It was our first ever, so I was pretty pleased with the way that all went, with the exception of the weather, which opted not to cooperate. The participants in the day, several commissioners, I appreciate your involvement, included Brian Chase of Bartlett Tree Experts, who provided his services at no cost to consult and educate the third grade STEAM students from Ultimate Elementary School, and Black Landscaping, who donated to the township a wildfire black gum tree, which is now planted next to Christian McNaughton Park by the play area. I checked on it this morning and it looks happy and healthy. So we look forward to watching that tree grow into maturity. I had a pension committee meeting on April 26th, reviewed the investment and actuarial reports for both the uniform and non-uniform defined benefit plans. They're doing better than they were in the fourth quarter in 2022 with the market recoveries and gains that we've seen. Overall, both plans have grown by 4.4% in the first quarter of this year. Short of the benchmark, but given all the conditions in the economy right now, I think we are pretty pleased with that result. There's a few items just to update you on capital projects of the Township Authority. As Commissioner Hisaro alluded to earlier, we had a meeting with Joel Washock of Penn Waste to talk about the potential contract amendment to enable mobile cart automated collection for Township residents. The outcome of the meeting was largely positive with Mr. Washock verbally committing to at least some of the requests that the working group assigned to review this matter had requested or had suggested. One of those being the addition of a August yard waste collection, an additional yard waste collection in August, and two being a pilot program if the board approves the contract amendment in the first ward, somewhere probably in the Montrose area south of 81, where we are likely to encounter some of the most logistical challenges with a mobile cart automated collection process. So that's an update on that, and let's see, paving projects, which perhaps Mr. Greenlee will provide a quick update on during his report. And we did receive proposals for the banking services contract that we submitted, or we released an RFP for. We had a good turnout for that, good response rate for that. 6 local firms provided qualified proposals. Staff's reviewing that right now. We intend to bring in a meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee to review those as well before making a recommendation to the commissioners at a forthcoming meeting. Also, we, just as a matter of record, we'll plan to schedule the May workshop for Wednesday, May 24th, as opposed to Thursday, May 25th, to accommodate the Shavuot holiday. That meeting's been advertised, but just for the record, wanted to reiterate that. If there's any questions, otherwise that concludes my report.
I'd like to just add, if I may, on the meeting with Penn Waste, it was my recollection as well that in the discussions that we were looking to have a second shredding day added. We have currently on October, an annual event, and we discussed about having a second one for the last 2 years of the contract in April, and I think that was positively received as well. I would just note that. I mean, if you agree,
I do.
that was my assessment anyways, that, okay.
Okay, well, thank you for that report. Public Safety, Director Martin, do you have any report?
I don't.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Community and Economic Development, Assistant Manager Logan.
You have my report if you have any questions on it. Just
Thank
feel free
you.
to ask me.
All right. Public Works, anything to report, sir?
Just a quick look.
Yep, thank you.
I believe in your report there, just to emphasize, street sweeping does start June 5th. I know there's been a lot of questions about when it starts. With the current rain and weather like that, you have seen the street sweepers out. I know we did Uptown, we did Mountaindale, we did all the low-lying areas in Progress and some of the other areas in Edgemont. So you may say, hey, I seen it, I moved my cars. That's getting in preparation for these heavier rains we've been having. Other than that, everything's there if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Nate, I have a question. I noticed that there's been some, I don't know, large post holes dug out of Boyd Park.
We rented an auger to put in a batting cage at Veterans Park. They are where Doug wanted them for the blue bird boxes you guys approved with the Eagle Scouts. We pre-drilled them for when Eagle Scouts come and install them.
While you had the gear.
Correct.
Okay, great. Good job, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. On to engineering, any report?
Thank you, Madam President. The board should have a copy of my report in the packet, so I'll entertain any questions on that. Quickly though, I wanted to mention that the 2023 paving project and the Edgemont Park ADA project both went out to bid for today. Bid opening will be June 1st for each project.
All right. Thank you for that. Mr. Solicitor.
It's always difficult to follow the engineer's reports, so I have no report.
Thank you, sir. All right, School Board, Commissioner Pine.
No report, Madam President.
Authority, Manager Probolka.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a number of projects that are currently being kind of administered by the Susquehanna Township Authority. Right now, you probably or may have seen some work being done on Paxton Church Road. Actually, to be clear, there are two projects going on Paxton Church. One has to do with the Susquehanna Union Green development, which is a turn movement improvement. And the second one is starting to clear for utility relocations that will be part of the Paxton Church Rehabilitation and Stabilization Project. That one, while it is being managed by HRG as a township project, it's being funded from the stormwater program because of the involvement or the degradation of the roadway being caused by erosion from the stream. So more to come on that. We're still waiting on details. And as soon as we do, we are in the process of developing a landing page on the website to give residents updates on not just this, but all the capital projects that are ongoing. In addition to that, we have the North Branch Sanitary Sewer Extension Project that is underway right now in the vicinity of Shut Mill Park. And actually, it's quite a big geographic area that will be affected by that project. But we don't anticipate there being any need for traffic controls or any major disruptions to commuters. Anrich is the awarded contractor on that project. We anticipate that it will be substantially complete sometime in the first quarter of 2024. So this is going to be a long project, but one that is sorely needed to address some of the needs of our corrective action plan. And we also have a bid, a package currently on the street. We anticipate opening bids for the Mini Basin 23B and C replacement project. I'm not entirely sure where the limits are of that project, but if you have questions, I'm sure Nate can fill in the blanks. But more to come on that, and we're currently waiting on bids to be submitted. I can answer any questions that you may have, but I think those are the important highlights.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Shade Tree, Commissioner Pine.
Madam President, just to reflect what Manager Probolka already mentioned, we had a very successful Arbor Day observance, and I want to thank Manager Probolka as well as Recreation Director Doug Canals and other township staff for just a really good event. We had almost 30 students from right next door at the elementary school who came away with small trees and a better understanding and appreciation for all trees, not just pine trees, but all trees. And we want to thank too Shade Tree Commission Chairman Bill Allen, who spoke to the children as well, and Commission Member Steve Rocker, who actually suggested the event. So it was successful all around. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe this may have been our first Arbor Day celebration, so
To my knowledge.
kudos to everyone for that. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but I certainly do appreciate the work of the Shade Tree Commission staff and Commissioner Pine. I know you were really involved, so a great event all around. Thank you.
And I'd like to add, thank you, Township Manager Probolka for doing this event for us. Been very successful, and I hope that we do this every year from here on forward. So, and I did see all the joy the kids who attended the event, rain notwithstanding. Yeah. So congrats to everyone who organized the event.
Thank you. Thank you for your support on this. It was great time.
Do I understand we may be approaching the shade tree city designation, or am I getting that
Yeah, no, I believe you are absolutely correct. We intend to apply this year. I think the round opens in October for designation as Tree City USA. And so I think we have, with this Arbor Day celebration, completed the last milestone in order to qualify. So we'll finally be giving those Lower Paxton, our friends to the east, a little run for their money.
Well, that's fantastic, because I know over the years, we've really had a dedicated Shade Tree Commission, the volunteers, so this is really nice that we're able to reach that milestone in their future. Okay, on to old business then. I'm sorry, I did skip a few items. Communications, is Commissioner Williams with us?
She did not join.
If not, Commissioner Rothrock, do you have a report for communications?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Human Relations, Commissioner Hisaro.
No report, Madam President.
Okay, and then I believe we touched on Parks and Recreation earlier. There was no report. Old business, item number 1, Boyd Park Phase 2 Construction Retainer Agreement Authorization. Director Knaus.
Thank you. This, as the board is aware, we were unsuccessful in our second bid attempt to get phase 2 done. We received 0 bids on the project. Some of the feedback that we received from a few of the contractors that did express interest was they had some concerns about doing the geotech survey and the kind of design build of the boardwalk area. So we have gone back and worked with HRG to get a proposal to get that geotech survey done. And what that will tell us is the depth of the wetlands and where we hit solid ground for the pillars for the boardwalk. And then have HRG actually have a design for the boardwalk. So when we go out to the again, we'll have that all in place. The price from HRG is at $25,650, and that will cover both the geotech survey and the design.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'd like to so move that the board authorize the retainer agreement with HRG in the amount of $25,650 for the design and rebidding of the Boyd Park Phase 2 development project.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Hisaro, second by Commissioner Rothrock. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, Civic Plus contract renewal, See, Click, Fix, and Marketplace Act. Assistant Manager Logan?
Thank you. As you are aware, the township has undertaken the agreement with C-Click Fix to have an app, Susquehanna Connects, that allows residents to contact the township for areas of concern such as potholes, property maintenance complaint, animal issues, that type of thing. So we're at the point where we would need to renew that contract. We officially launched it, I believe, in October of 2021, so we've had it for a little bit over a year and a half, and we feel it is successful at this time. So we're requesting that the board renew the contract, effective May 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, Zen City contract renewal. Again, Assistant Manager Logan.
Thank you. As you're familiar, Zen City is another cloud-based program that we have that helps with community engagement initiatives. It provides both a kind of data gathering of all the stuff that's kind of going on in social media, and it also gives us the opportunity to provide pretty direct surveys to our residents. We're using them now, and Director Knaus can go in further into the survey issues that we use. So it's a social media platform as well. They do connect with Fix, which is the one that you just approved, so there is some integration there. They're owned by the same company. And we have a renewal period that is beginning on the 14th of June and would end in June of either 2024 or 2025. You have the opportunity to renew for 1 year or 2 years.
Okay. Director Canals, did you have any comments that you wanted to add regarding the potential for the renewal?
Yeah, I mean, we are currently utilizing a platform within Zen City for all of our online surveys that we've been conducting for the Wedgewood Hills Master Plan. And we just launched the township-wide bicycle, pedestrian, and greenway plan. And we've seen some pretty successful results. Within the Wedgewood Hills survey, we've gotten 360 completed surveys back out of 470 some, I forget the actual numbers, that have started it. So we have about a 75% completion rate. And that was a very targeted survey. We definitely targeted the neighborhoods around Wedgewood Hills and sent postcards out to them directly. The bicycle pedestrian plan will be township-wide. That one is a little bit more in depth in terms of survey because we're looking for a lot more information. That one, we currently have 70 completed surveys out of about 150 started, so that percentage is a little low. We've done some tweaks to the survey to help hopefully speed up the process for the survey. Right now it's expected to be about 22 minutes for someone to take that survey. But the data that we're able to gain from those has been valuable for the consultants as they're going through the planning process. And I think Michael Simon's on?
Yes.
Michael Simon's on from Zen City, and he can answer more detailed questions, and I can also share my screen and show you kind of what we see in terms of the survey and the data that we get as well, if you so choose.
Well, a 75% return rate is pretty excellent.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with that for
Yeah.
the Wedgewood property.
Right. Well,
Will,
Is Mr. Finley gonna,
do we want to recognize the gentleman to speak on this as well? What would be appropriate?
or if we have any questions,
I'm simply here to answer questions if you have.
yeah,
okay.
did you,
Okay.
were there any questions?
I had one just related to the cost here. I think the indication is it's $20,000 billed yearly, but the normal list is $44,000 and it's discounted 55%. Is that correct? And Manager Provolka, you can answer that question perhaps. Just
That is my understanding as well. I don't know, Mr. Simon, is that's your discounted rate then, or your standard rate is a $44,000 annual engagement for those two platforms?
That's correct, and we give a bulk discount because they're using two different modules. That's why.
gotcha.
See. So we would, while what's in your packet is a 2-year engagement, there is an option to renew for 1 year as well, which would be my recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, Madam President, I'd like to make the motion to approve the contract for a 1-year extension.
Second?
All right, moved by Commissioner Hisaro, seconded by Commissioner Pine. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. New business. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. And under the consent agenda, we have a statement of bills paid in the amount of $1,567,825.60. Item B, donation of a 2008 Ford Econoline E350 van. C, financial security adjustment number 4, Stray Wind Farm Phase 7. D, financial security adjustment number 1, Stray Wind Farm Phase 8. E, authorization to hire park seasonal maintenance staff. And F, appointment of Adam Gruzlewski as sewage enforcement